Wando, and to get some perspective on what's moving that market, we are joined, crossing rather, to the Nigerian Stock Exchange to speak to Layi Olaleru. He's head of equity trading at Cordros Capital. Layi, it's great to have you on the show today. And I think a good place to start is the volumes we saw today, down about 50% to 2.6 billion naira. We get the sense that ahead of the earnings season, like a guest I spoke with earlier this morning mentioned, it seems a lot has already been priced in, so perhaps the demand is not as strong as you would expect at this time. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Wole, you're very correct about your assertion. Today, the bulls have the upper hand, and if you've been watching the index, in between trading today, it's been a battle between the bulls and the bears, but eventually, towards the end of the market today, we can see that the bull had the upper hand and the market gained 13 basis points, thanks to some of the oil and gas stocks, which actually led the gainers chart. As you can, if you notice, total gain over 6 naira. Likewise, we saw ethanol oil at Wando also gaining. And as you rightly mentioned, the total value of trading went down today, and it's understandable because at this point in time, a lot of investors are being cautious about what next to do, because the earnings season is just around the corner, and people don't want to overprice the stock that they're buying, such as a situation whereby they will be having a minimal dividend yield on their investment. So it's understandable that people are watching the orders, to see what the likely corporate earnings results will be. Of course, the only thing that can change the way people are pricing the stocks is if a higher than expected corporate actions are being declared by these stocks in terms of dividend and bonuses. But as it is now, analysts and investors have their own expectation, and they're only waiting to be proved wrong by the companies as they bring out their reports in a couple of days.
All right, it seems to be a pretty noisy day on the NSE today. But okay, let's move on to some policies we're hearing about the NSE increasing the daily price limit from 5% to 10%, and the likely impact that's likely to have on this market going forward.
Yeah, as you know, one of the basic objectives of the NSE is to improve liquidity. And one way of doing that is to allow stocks to have greater flexibility. And if you notice, in the past 6 months, the exchange has been trying out a pilot scheme of introducing some of the market-making stocks to this 10% price movement. It's been pretty successful, and it has created a lot of activities in this stock. Yeah. So on the back of this success, the NSE is planning that come first or second week of April, alongside the supplemental market-making scheme, they are going to launch the new price movement, which is going to cut across the board. So it's not only going to be market-making stocks that can move 10% up and down in the price band, but you also see every other stock that is quoted on the Nigerian Stock Exchange enjoying the same price movement.
Right, but do you think this will be a catalyst to take this market to the next level, if you like? Over the last few weeks, you've seen the market trade somewhat sideways. In fact, I think they're more of a negative bias over the last 2 weeks. So your thoughts on whether or not this is going to get the market going again?
Yeah, I believe it's going to get the market going. The basic objective is not necessarily to always put the market on the upward trend, but to ensure that there is enough liquidity and price movement and volatility in the market. And as you know, the restriction that the market has been experiencing has been majorly due to the 5% restriction ban. In some other developed market, you don't even get to see any price ban. Stocks are allowed to move to ascertain their new prices, sometimes in a single trading day, and the following day it bounces back. But it's whereby you have restrictions. It will actually take some time before stocks achieve their true valuation. So I think it's very healthy for the market. It will definitely drive up the volume. Maybe not the indices in the immediate term, but the volume of transaction will definitely increase. That's my belief.
All right, let's move on to the oil marketing stocks. Today we've seen them do pretty well, the likes of Total gaining, and some may be linking that to the fact that we're now beginning to see deliberations on the petroleum industry bill at the National Assembly. Your thoughts on that sentiment?
Yeah, my thoughts on that are basically that the petroleum industry bill that has been experiencing one challenges or the other is making progress. Last week on the floor of the Senate, it surprisingly scaled through the second reading, and at this stage it has been forwarded to the Senate Committee on Petroleum and Oil and Gas Matters for harmonization with information gotten from public hearings and other readings that has been done so far. This is a great news that is coming to the market, because the expectation is high as it is that if the PIB bill sees the light of the day, there is definitely going to be a lot of investment into the oil and gas industry. And as a result of that, you can see the way investors have been pricing some of the oil and gas stocks, and since last week you would have noticed a lot of activities in those stocks. And if you look at the top 5 gainers for today, a Total, Ohando, and Ethanol Oil actually made the top 5 gainers of today, and it's likely we'll be seeing this trend in the days to come by.
Okay, so let's look forward into this week. What are the stocks you like? How do you see this market trading for over the rest of the week?
Yeah, in the next couple of days, I will still expect the market to be trading relatively flat. I mean, 13 basis points is not huge, and as such, I'm not expecting to see a sudden spike in the indices in the days to come. Basically, because people are waiting anxiously to see what the corporate earnings will be. I mean, like you rightly mentioned, that all the indices have already priced in the expectation from the banks and also the fast-moving consumer goods. So the only thing that can change the movement of the market is if the expectations are being surpassed or if there are disappointments. So people are cautious now, and days to come, I still see the market trading flat until we start seeing the news coming. I mean, the first company that will bail the cat in terms of good corporate earnings will actually lead the market in a good direction. So let's watch out for the first company that will bring out its own result. If the result is positive, I'm very optimistic that the positive trend will spill over to other stocks in that particular sector and industry.